you think about homeschooling that is very popular in countries such as United States and is also becoming popular in Europe?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Here in Colombia, it's maybe not so common. Uh, so maybe I don't know if it's just because of that I'm not so familiar with homeschooling that I'm a little worried. Like it could be interesting. Like it could help students pursue other interests as well. Maybe they can focus on, I don't know, a sport or going deeper into an art or something else. Uh, so that might be interesting, but I guess it all boils down to having the parents or tutors be very, very aware of what they're doing, how they plan that education. So if it's like very well structured and planned out, I think it could be interesting as well. It's like another
Right. Right.
Right,
Just
but
to
it's
give
also
maybe a
difficult.
little bit more of context to the audience, because I know that not everybody is familiarized with homeschooling, especially in countries outside the United States, for example. In homeschooling, it's not necessarily like for example, the parents use different services, right? Sometimes there are online services that help them create the curriculum, right? And organize all of those stuff. So it's not that the parent needs to come up with everything from the start. There are already like companies and services that help them uh, create the curriculum, plan it. And there are some tools for that. Also, for example, uh, what's interesting is that it gives more flexibility to a kid. So, for example, let's say that I know 8-year-old is very interested in literature, right? So he can dedicate a lot of his time reading and writing books, right? So, and I actually listened to a podcast from Lex Friedman recently, and he was talking to a woman that went through homeschooling, and she talked that uh, she dedicated a lot of her time to write because she really liked to write. So she dedicated a lot of time to write stories, and that helped her to become a really good writer, right? Because she could focus on that and work on that. And that is very interesting, right? Because it is also a possibility to personalize or customize more your learning path depending on what career do you want to pursue, right? Maybe you want to be a writer, right? So maybe you could dedicate more time to writing, or you want to become an engineer, so you can maybe start taking courses
Yeah, okay,
online
so
like
Andy, with
Udacity.
that reasoning, Diana, how could students follow a customized learning path? So, for instance, like Andy said, someone who aspires to become a musician would take more music classes rather than calculus or physics. So, how can a student find a clear path?
Well, putting it that way, homeschooling could be a great option, I think. It does give you that flexibility. I also like what you were saying about it being student-centered and the focus being their main interests, because that's how you make lifelong learners in the end. Like if the student is engaged, if they're really enjoying what they're learning, then there are certainly benefits for a personalized curriculum. And what I think is, of course, they could take classes that go more in the line of what they're pursuing, but I guess the trick would actually be to delve more into the transdisciplinary aspect of things. So rather than leaving aside physics and math for music,